West Hill United is a progressive spiritual community where how you live is more important than what you believe. West Hill United is a people, a place, an idea. We are a community living out of a progressive faith, striving to make a positive difference in our own lives, the lives of others, and the world. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. or connect with us at any time.
Well, let me welcome all who have gathered here this morning or today in the hall, whether in the Toronto space or the world space by Zoom. We are all treaty people, and that means that people, both Indigenous and non-Indigenous, have a shared responsibility and a shared benefit from the treaties signed between the Indigenous peoples and governments. While the phrase emphasizes the importance of these treaties in shaping society, it also acknowledges the ongoing struggle for their full implementation and the need for reconciliation. The reading this morning is, well, we customarily add the phrase offered as wisdom for the journey, and we invite you to respond with the phrase, may you walk in its light. And that's an invitation to do so if you wish. And now the reading, which may be familiar to many people, Watty Piper's, the end of the story of the little engine that could. What is the matter, my friends? She asked kindly. Oh, little blue engine, cried the dolls and toys. Will you push us over the mountain? Our engine has broken down, and the good boys and girls on the other side won't have any toys to play with or good food to eat unless you help us. Please, please, help us, little blue engine. I'm not very big, said the little blue engine. They use me only for switching trains in the yard. I've never been over the mountain. But we must get over the mountain before the children awake, said all the dolls and the toys. The little engine looked up and saw the tears in the doll's eyes. And she thought of the good little boys and girls on the other side of the mountain who would not have any toys or good food unless she helped. Then she said, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And she hitched herself to the little train. She tugged and pulled and pulled and tugged. And slowly, slowly, slowly they started off. The toy clown jumped aboard, and all the dolls and toy animals began to smile and cheer. Puff, puff, chug, chug went the little blue engine. I think I can. 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 Up, 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 faster and faster and faster the little engine climbed until at last they reached the top of the mountain. Offered as wisdom for the journey. May we walk
in its light.
I'm going to echo what Babette was saying. I picked out the reading this week, and when I read it for the first time, I read it as, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I must be a boring person. But Don, you brought that to life. And I really appreciate how when you were reading that, I think it was something that we could relate with, where sometimes we'll say, I think I can, but it's almost like we don't even believe ourselves. But we'll say, I think I can, because I'm supposed to maybe think that. And then hopefully we say, I think I can, maybe? I think I can. And so really, Don, you brought that story to life. I really appreciate that. We've been in a series on hope. I'm going to start off with a pop quiz this morning. You won't, be graded too harshly. So the pop quiz is this. Can any of you recall what are the 3 main ingredients there are to cultivating hope? The 3 main ingredients to cultivating hope. And if you don't know all 3, that's all right. You can just shout out one of them if you remember. Gratitude is definitely very helpful. Pathways thinking, yes. The goal, yep. So goals, pathway thinking. Agency, all right, yes. So the 3 big main ingredients. First, to have goals, and we'll put those on the screen here. To have goals. Have something that we can aim for. This is why, Viktor Frankl, he developed the theory, a logotherapy. And basically that to have meaning, to have purpose, that you can be in difficult situations, and if you have a goal, it's something that can lift you even for just a bit, even in your mental space, that can lift you out of that circumstance that you are in. And in fact, I had shared a couple weeks ago, one of the researchers, the leading researchers on this theory of hope, says that hope, it's not just light at the end of the tunnel, it's light while you are in the tunnel. Because I think what can be difficult is if we're in circumstances and we don't feel like that there's anything that we can do. And sometimes, as in the prayer of serenity that was mentioned earlier, sometimes we have to say, this is outside of my control. But there are a lot of things that we can do, whether it's even just our approach to something, just having that attitude of gratitude. So to have goals, that's the big first step. In the story that Don read, to get the toys to the children, that was the goal. The second thing, pathway thinking. Well, we can say all day, I want to do this, I want the toys to go to the children, I want for this to happen in my life. But if we don't have a pathway there, then it's more of wishful thinking, right? I think of right now, there's a lot of work being done of trying to go to Mars, which I think is incredible. But if they just said, we want to go to Mars and then didn't do anything, that's a nice sounding thing. But they're actually creating hope by developing different pathways that they can possibly take. And it's a big, scary goal to have. So many things that need to be done and so many things that have to go right, which actually I've heard right now they are taking applications for people to be the first people to go. So, if you're interested, look online. I'm not sure what the link is, but pathway thinking to develop different paths to get to the goals. How many of you before have ever had a goal but then have had an obstacle? Sounds like life, right? All the time. In the spirit of gratitude, as I've said before, I think when we I like to take the approach of the adventure of life. And sometimes that can be a really hard approach to take. When you get the news that you don't want to hear. But to go on that path, to choose it. I've mentioned before that I love to hike. I love to be out in the mountains. And you don't always know what's going to happen. But it's kind of like what they say with fishing. Whether you catch a fish or not, you're still fishing. Whatever happens on the hike, you're still in the mountains. You're enjoying the nature, the beauty of it all. Pathway thinking. There's going to be obstacles that happen on the path, but if we want to cultivate hope, we keep pressing through those obstacles or around them or whatever approach we need to take. There's been a lot of research done on the subjects of grit, perseverance, and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset might see an obstacle and say, we can't do that. But a growth mindset says, what if I found a way around it? What if I found a way through it, a way over it, under it, however I need to? That's a growth mindset. That's grit and perseverance. One of the leading researchers in grit and perseverance, her name is Angela Duckworth. And Dr. Duckworth stated, they shared that they had done a study. And in this study, they had two groups of children. And for each of the groups, they had a somewhat but achievable, difficult task that they had the children do. So two groups, they gave them a task that was somewhat difficult, but that they could do. The first group, after they got done with the task, they told the children, well, you completed that because you must just be good at that. And then the second group, and see this difference here, the second group, they said, that was kind of hard, wasn't it? But when it got difficult, you know what I noticed? You kept going. You found a different way. Then, for each of the groups, they gave them another assignment after that. And the second assignment was a little bit harder. Here's what they found. The first group, they did okay. But the second group, the group that they had said to the first, you must have been able to do that because you showed grit and perseverance. When it got difficult, you kept going. That group far succeeded the first group. How's that relate to hope? One of my favorite sayings on hope is hope begets hope. If you can develop the skill, if you can cultivate being a hopeful person, it's kind of like in this season of gratitude as well. When you can start to purposely look for the good, you're going to be more inclined to see it. It's like when you buy that vehicle that you've wanted for a while, or just any vehicle, and then you start noticing it on the road. Oh, everybody drives a Subaru. I didn't know there's so many Subarus. It's always been that number. It's just that you notice it more. Hope begets hope. You have goals. You aim for them. When they get difficult, you keep on developing pathways. And then the next time you have goals or difficult things, you say, even if on a subconscious level, Joe, you've done this before. Last week, I went to a running group there in Toledo. And I was sharing with one of the other gentlemen at the group how I had a goal last month to reach a certain amount of miles in my running. And in our conversation, he just, while we're kind of breathing heavy while running, he said to me, he goes, are you the kind of person that has to finish your goals? And I thought to myself, that is an interesting question. And I immediately responded to him. I said, I really try to. And the reason is because when I have future goals, it makes them easier. Hope begets hope. When we have these goals, we aim for them. When us as a community, I think of Vision Works, hope, vision. We're seeing things. We have ideas. We have goals. But we put the action to it. Works. We have pathway thinking. It makes it easier. West Hill's decided that every 5 years we're going to renew Vision Works. And so this upcoming year, 2026, will be 5 years. And we will get to look back at the good that's happened and say, hey, we've been here before. And we are able to do a lot of these things. Like, I mean, we honestly, we might get to 100% of the goals that happen. I would, if I had to guess, we're around in the 90% of where in 2021. That's inspiring. That cultivates hope. And then the third thing, agency thinking. As Don said, I think I can? I think I can. I think I can. And it's not this unrealistic, if I made the goal that I could, by next week dunk a 12-foot basketball hoop, probably not going to happen. But it's the train saying, you know what? I've never taken, these train cars over this mountain, this hill here. But I am a train engine. And I've done some things. I think it's a possibility. I think it's a realistic possibility. Notice it didn't say, I absolutely know that I can. And if it had said that, well, where would the adventure be? Where would the story be? But it said, I think that there might be a chance that I could do this. And then it started going, and it picked up momentum. Hope begets hope. It said, well, I've made it this far. I think I can. And as it started chugging up the mountain, I think I can. It had agency thinking. Quickly here on the screen, we're going to have 4 things that lead to agency thinking. This is from a researcher named Albert Bandura. And he says that there's 4 main criteria for, as he calls it, self-efficacy. Mastery experiences, so actual performances. So what I mean by that is our past. Hope begets hope. When we've done these things, we can do it again. When we look at our past experiences. And for some people, honestly, that might be discouraging. There have been times, I'll be fully transparent. I have tried to write a book numerous times. And I've even gotten to, in my writing, to over 200 pages in some of my writing. And then I've gotten to the end, plus 200 pages, and I've said, I don't like this. And there's part of me that's discouraged by that. But I also can look at it and say, Joe, you've written over 200 pages at times. And keep going, because one of these times it's going to click and you're going to feel like it. And maybe I'm being overly critical of my own work. But my point is, these past experiences, we can look at the bad and the good, but that self-talk, and it's being realistic and saying, Joe, have grace with yourself. Be kind to yourself. And look at the good, because our brain, as we're in this season once again of gratitude and thanksgiving, they say our brain, 85% of thoughts can go to the negative. But is that the truth? Yes, there are weeds in the garden, but there are a lot of flowers as well. And so psychologists will say, you have to overcome that. It's not saying that it's all flowers, but it's saying, you know what? Maybe there's 40% weeds and 60% flowers. And I'm going to focus on those flowers, and I'm going to work on weeding and maintaining the garden. So our past experiences can help lead to a better confidence. And that's why, to close the loop on our goals as much as we can, to have perseverance, to have grit. The second thing, vicarious experiences. Vicarious, through other people. That's why places like this, I think, are important. You know, when I see different work, when I think of, people here at West Hill, Ruth and her work, her wanting to stand up for justice and indigenous people, Aaron and the documentary that he made, wanting to be a voice for LGBT youth. West Hill in general, when I first started looking at West Hill, I thought to myself, there's proof in the pudding. This is a community that wants to stand up for what's right, that wants to have strong values, that says what you do is way more important than what you believe, deed over creed. And it's inspiring to me. When I've gone to different places, people have said to me, I've heard of West Hill. It's really cool what they're doing. Vicarious, seeing others succeed. Social persuasion. Another value of West Hill is that we come here and we have people who root us on, who say, you're trying to do good in your life? Keep on doing that. I remember in cross country when I was in college, I can still picture it like it was yesterday. I would see different people, and one of the people that I always liked to see when I was running a race was my coach, because he had a big smile on his face, and he was saying, you've got this. You're right on pace to where you want to be. Keep going. I want to say really quick, too, this is a little bit of a side story here, but I always loved it in cross country when I would turn a corner and there would be, someone there, and I appreciate them coming to watch the race, and they would say, run faster. And I would think to myself, do you think I haven't thought of that? Either way, social persuasion. When I was running a race and I would see a familiar face, though, I would run faster. People coming and supporting you. We have to keep that up. I'm going to go on one more quick tangent with it. We all need courage. We can't put love into action without courage. It's absolutely a necessity. And we can give courage to others by encouraging them. By saying, hey, I see that you did this, and you did really well with that. You're such a kind person. You're such an empathetic person. I appreciate that you want to stand up for justice. It's the same thing with this, social persuasion, and that raises people's self-confidence, their self-agency, which then leads to hope. And then a final thing here, physiological or emotional states, our stress, our fatigue, and once again, that's why we need each other. And that's why we come together, because as our value state, to grow in wisdom, to learn how to navigate these difficult parts of life. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Man, they read my mind. I was thinking if we could go back to this here. The series of hope. I realize that we're not going to remember all these things that I've said. Those things regarding how we can have greater self-efficacy, self-confidence. But my hope is that people can remember these three ingredients and then apply it to your life. To have goals, to have worthwhile goals, goals that are meaningful, goals that are worth living for. And then to develop pathways to it. It's not always easy. It's being intentional. It's starting out and saying, hey, I have this goal. How can I get there? And then to have that agency thinking. I think I can. Maybe. Potentially. There's somewhat of a chance that I think I can. And then you get going. You start going up the mountain. I think that I can. I think that I can. Hope. It's not just something that happens all the time automatically. Yes, sometimes it can happen by chance to us. But usually it's something that has to be cultivated. And I really hope that we can all apply this to our lives. And I just think of our culture right now, and I think of different things going on. And as you've read in the news, probably different things going on in the States. And sometimes, to be honest, it can seem dark a little bit. I was actually talking to my brother last night. My brother is very high in leadership in the Navy. And we were talking about hope. And that's one of the main things that he does with his job. He has to give people hope. He has to inspire, the people that work with him and work for him. Because without it, and as he was sharing, that's the first criteria. If he can't develop that hope, people don't have something to aspire to. And I talked to him about this idea. I said, there's a term. It's called collective hope. It's the hope of everybody. And what they have found, what the research shows, is that one person can raise that collective hope. I think of in the States, Barack Obama in 2012, he was a presidential, or 2008 was a presidential candidate for the first time. He wrote a book, The Audacity of Hope. His campaign slogan was hope. There was a poster of his face on it and the word hope. My point is, he realized that that's what people needed. And as I've thought about that, I think about what that meant for people. He was trying to be the first African-American president in the States. Hope. It was hope for him, but also sharing hope. I mean, think about people, who were trying to do the first things that they could in their life. He was leading a new way. He raised, in my opinion, he raised the collective hope. So when we apply it to our life, it's not just light in our own tunnel, but it can be light for others.
Become a sustaining champion of West Hill United's work by committing to an automatic monthly donation. Learn more or donate now through Canada Helps.